So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ministry of Industry and Trade, either personally or via Microsoft Teams, and we will start our business forum on mining industry in Indonesia in a few seconds. So, I will ask the moderator here, and then we will start the presentations.
Good morning for the all distinguished participants on the meeting attendees today. Dobro jutro. And good afternoon for those who's joining us in Jakarta. Selamat siang. So before I introduce myself, I would like to make some remark and big thanks for the two key persons in here that really helped this session will become a real today. So first of all, Honorable Ambassador of Indonesia for Czech Republic, Ibu Kenzi Ekaningsih, and then Mr. Pavel Kavina, the Director Material Policy for the Ministry of Industrial and Trade of Czech Republic. We would like to say thank you so much for this. Without you, this session wouldn't happen. Thank you again. Let me give a little bit rundown on the session of today. So obviously, this is a continuous follow-up session of the visiting from the previous visit from the Ministry of Industrial Trade to Jakarta. We were planning, our Director General, Mr. Ridwan, we were planning to come here, but due to some reason, they have like last minute cancellation. So I'm hoping the next session will be another visit that can meet in person. The rundown session will be start with the opening remark by the Ambassador of Indonesia, followed by Mr. Pavel Kavina, and then our Director General, Ms. Dr. Ridwan Jamaluddin, will give the keynote speaker in relation to the regulation of the mining policy in Indonesia. And then this is where we can meet and greet Pa Ridwan. And then after that, it will be followed by Pa Alma Karma, which is the Director of the Investment Office in Indonesia. Pak Alma Karma is the one on the top on the screen. This is Pak Ridwan. Pak Ridwan is more related into the mining and coal from the Ministry of Energy and Energy Resource, while Pak Alma Karma more into the investment office. And then we will start with the panelists. The panelists will start with Ms. Barbara, and then followed by Ibu Ria, and then followed by Pak Elwin and Pak Dudi. So just a little bit background of it on this agenda. There are actually two key points that we would like to address in this 2.5 hours or even a little bit earlier session is to explore the opportunity between two countries, between Indonesia and Czech, in relation to the opportunity that might come across in the next future, especially in the mining industry or broader than that. So that's including the technology and then investment. And then the second one is we would like to get the familiarization on the policy. The policy has been changed. So the old policy was in to 2020. It's been replaced by number 3, 2020. So it is good for us to kind of give a broader perspective on how does the policy work in the mining industry. But last but not least, the most important thing is on the investment opportunity itself. The investment office will give a broader perspective to the audience about the tax incentive and other technology tax that you might come across if you're investing to our country in Indonesia. So without further ado, I would like to give time and place to Ibu Kensi to open the session. Ibu, please.
Pak Ridwan Jamaluddin. Selamat pagi, Pak. Selamat sore. Director General for Minerals and Coal, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of the Republic of Indonesia. Mr. Al Makarma, Director of Manufacturing Industry Planning, Ministry of Investment of the Republic of Indonesia. My dear friend, Mr. Pavel Kavina, Director of Raw Materials Policy Department, Ministry of Trade and Industry of the Czech Republic, of course. Ms. Barbora Veličková, Executive Director, Czech Extraction and Mining Technology. Ibu Ria Wardani Pawan, Director of PT Timah Industry. Pak Elwin Elbur, Project Exploration Manager PT Antam, Pak Dudi Rendusara, dan Pak Auli Kusuma of MKU LLC, and Mr. Aditya Prasta, who just arrived last night, early in the morning, still in the jet lag, and Pak Pinsan Siregar, and representative of Czech companies and associations present at this business forum, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Dobry rano, is it correct? Dobry rano. Selamat pagi di Praha and selamat sore di Indonesia. First of all, let me take this opportunity to welcome the mining delegation from Indonesia to Prague, a very beautiful city, very famous with hundreds of spires. I also would like to extend my deepest appreciation to the Ministry of Trade of Czech Republic, who has made this event possible with all changes from our previous arrangement. I also would like to thank all the representatives of the companies, associations, as well as government officials for spending your valuable time to be with us today. I'd like to promise that this will be time well spent to all of us. And last but not least, I would like also to convey my highest gratitude to the esteemed speakers for sharing the thought and on cooperation and investment opportunity, particularly in the mining sector. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia and Czech Republic have a very strong bilateral ties in all sectors. This cooperation is signified by bilateral consultation framework, as well as mutual visits, among others as the visit of the mining delegation today. But although our bilateral trade and economic relations are relatively small, all the positive development in both countries can promote the much stronger economic cooperation. There is still room for advancement and improvement. The two countries, the Czech Republic and Indonesia, now are holding the chair of a very prestigious World Forum. Czech Republic serves as President of the European Union, while Indonesia as chair of the Group of 20 Developed Economies, G20. We do hope that the two countries, in their capacity as group leader, can and are able to respond to the challenge of the increasingly diverse world. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is a major player in global mining industry. It has immense mineral production and reserve, including gold, coal, tin, copper, bauxite, nickel, and others. Mining is one of the key sectors contributing to Indonesia's economic growth over many decades. And now Indonesia is also in the midst of rapid transformation from focusing on raw material export to creating value-added mineral products. Therefore, there are a lot of opportunity for cooperation in downstream industries. The visit of the Indonesian mining delegation to Prague is a written visit to the Czech mineral mining delegation visit to Jakarta last July. If you may aware, the Czech delegation was led by my good friend, Dr. Kavina, and he came to Jakarta and convened a lot of activities, including business meeting with his counterparts as well as with mining community in Indonesia. This two-way visit, these mutual visits, shows the strong commitment of both parties to further strengthen the cooperation in mineral and mining sector. So the business forum today is intended to give insight into the opportunity in Indonesia's gold mining, rare earth projects, tin, commodity, and smelter facilities with intention to establish a platform of business matching with potential investors, technology vendors, and mining service company from the Czech Republic. The speakers who present with us today at the forum will highlight potentials of bilateral cooperation in mining industry, including ready projects being offered. So with those background, it is my high hope that this business meeting will bring positive result in concrete cooperation between the two countries, especially in the mining sectors. So I hope you all enjoy the city and of course the deliberation and have a fruitful discussion. Don't forget to also enjoy the beautiful city of Prague while you are still in Prague. If not, then you will just get lost. Thank you. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Ibu Ambassador of Indonesia, Kenzi. Thank you, Pak. I cannot lie that it is amazing country. We arrived 2 days ago, and then we traveled across the city. I'm amazed how clean is the city in comparison to my expectation. Before I came here, it's more way clean, 5 times. So thank you for highlighting that, Ibu. The next one is the Dr. Pavel Kavina, the Director of Raw Material Policy, Department of Ministry of Industrial and Trade.
Thank you. Your Excellency, dear Indonesian colleagues here in Prague, dear Indonesian colleagues in Jakarta, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Salamat pagi. I would like to welcome cordially Her Excellency Ambassador Kensi Akanin Sich, who is very active in strengthening relation between our ministry and its Indonesian counterparts. I am very happy to see Director General Ridwan Jamaludin, whom I met a few months ago in Jakarta during our successful mission in July this year. I wish to meet in person again, but we have at least this virtual opportunity. I am also very glad that representatives of Indonesian companies, representative of Indonesian mining industry are here today. Welcome in Prague. Energy crisis may be the main topic in Europe today, but we are also facing new need for raw materials, strategic raw materials, due to development in technology and disrupted supply chains. I am happy that producers of nickel, tin and precious metals are here among us because the need for these metals rises and Czech companies, not only from CDT, may provide solutions for new mining projects and later reclaiming of old ones. Regarding the cooperation in the area of mineral resources, we know that Indonesia has a huge potential in terms of mineral resources, such as many metals as nickel, tin, copper, lead, bauxite, gold and silver, many energy raw materials as crude oil, natural gas and coal, and also many industrial minerals as, for example, kaolin, feldspar, limestones. Given the Czech Republic long tradition in mining industry and vast experience with open pit mining and underground mining, we would like expand collaboration in this area between Czech and Indonesian companies. Czech companies that are members of the Czech Extraction and Mining Technology Associations, CDT, produce excellent machinery and equipment and can offer you a very good solution for your mines. Also, Czech Geological Survey can share its experience with Indonesian partners, Indonesian Geological Survey, in terms of various methods of natural resources exploration, as well as the digitalization of different types of maps and databases. Let me also inform you that we would like to prepare a memorandum of understanding between our ministers. I hope that today's seminar will be useful for participants for both sides. Join Committee on Economic Cooperation if we keep the schedule should meet again at the end of next year in Indonesia. When we meet again, we hope to review some progress based on the connection built today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pavel Kavina. And it is indeed, we are looking forward for the an in-person visit, and hopefully it's earlier than, end of next year. I was thinking like you're going to say like end of this year, but yeah. Another amazing news that you mentioned about the extraction in mining technology itself. This is something that we would like to explore more in developing of the e-mobility era at this moment on the EV battery. And I believe this kind of business between Indonesia and Czech can be linked one to each other, as Indonesia is the mine resources of the e-mobility raw material, where they can cross matching between the technology that you apply. The next one, Mr. or Dr. Ridwan Jamaludin, the Director General of Mineral and coal from the energy of mineral resource. On his capacity as a regulator, he's also the governor of one of our island, which is Bangka Belitung. So I would imagine how busy is Mr. Ridwan at this moment. But thank you so much, Pak Ridwan, to be able to attend and spend your time with us. I'm pretty much sure this will be useful for all of us in here. Thank you, Pak.
My turn? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Aulia. Excellency, Ibu Ambassador, Ibu Kensi Ekaningsi. I think this is the first time I meet, but I hope this will not be the last one. Pak Pavel Kavina, the Director of Raw Materials. I also would like to thank Pak Alma Karma of the KPM Indonesian Investment Board and distinguished speakers, participants of this event. Yeah, as Ibu Ambassador mentioned, Prague is so beautiful. And Aulia just added on that Prague is so clean. And this is among my deepest regret not to be able to visit Prague. I've never been there, but I'm sure I'll be there even before the end of next year, Mr. Kavin. I just came back from Bali for the G20 event. This is one of the reasons why I cannot make it to this event. But I believe, although I only present virtually, but this will not reduce the importance of this event. I remember we met last July in Jakarta. I really appreciate your visit. Also would like to pay better attention to the opportunities. For those who are new to Indonesia, I think most of us already know that Indonesia is a large country, spanning from Aceh in the west to Papua in the east, as big as west coast of the US to the east. So it's more or less the size of Indonesia with 270 million people. It covers 7.81 million square meter area. Looking at this abundance of potential, including the mineral deposit, the government of Indonesia is striving to improve its investment, including in the mining industry. So far, the latest number I received that the mining sector has contributed about 11 to 12% of Indonesian national income. So although the situation now is kind of not as stable as before, but the mining sector in Indonesia remain in stable situation. I also would like to emphasize that the latest mining law in Indonesia is law number 3, year 2020, is aimed to provide a more investment friendly as well as more environmentally friendly for this mining activities. So before the licensing was distributed from national ministries and agencies to local, district, and provincial, but now almost everything is centralized. However, we also work closely with the district and provincial government, especially in maintaining the good relationship as well as maintaining the importance of mining activities to the local community. So in other words, point number 1 of this law on mineral and coal is that we manage the bureaucracy from Jakarta nationally, but we maintain the impact, the positive impact of the mining activities locally. Second strong point of this law is that the transfer of licenses and shares by the shareholders. There is a wish that at the end of the day, Indonesian entities, Indonesian private sector will also play an important role in this industry. So that's why there is an obligation for the foreign investment to gradually divest their shares to 51% to Indonesian national entities. Again, please look at this principle in a positive point of view, that we need to work together on it. We appreciate the foreign investment, but we also would like to invite national entities to get involved in business. Point number 3, which is also not less important at all, which is the environment-related obligation by the mining industry. We know that many people has a not very positive perspective of mining industry, but by this law number 3, 2020, we emphasize that environment is one of the most important parameter we are implementing in Indonesia. So for companies who are operating in Indonesia, there are some obligation that they have to obey during the process of mining activities. In terms of resources, if my colleagues would like to share the slide, it's based on slide number 5 actually. Just would like to share with you some of the potential commodities we have in Indonesia. Number 1 is nickel, number 1 world reserve, and number 1 world producer. We produce 36% of world production. Second commodities is bauxite. We are number 6 in world reserve and number 6 in world producer. We produce about 4% of world production. Copper, we are number 10. Gold, we are number 6. And then tin, we are second in the world, producing about 23% of the world production. And last but not least, just recently, quartz sands has also attracted some attention from investors, because here, especially I'm now in Bangka Belitung, we have abundance of quartz sands that can be produced to become glass, solar panel, and other products. I remember I received a souvenir from Czech delegates last July. It's quartz, a processed quartz basically. And now you can sell the products in very high value rather than just selling the. So we have enough products to invest in. We also would like to facilitate those companies, especially after listening the capabilities of the Czech industry, that you produce equipment and produce equipment that we can use in the mining industry.
Ridwan, are we in the right slide? Yeah.
Sorry, I can hear you, but I cannot see anything. Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you, but
okay. Let me continue then. Sorry, I just missed the display on my screen. Okay, let me just continue.
That's
okay. Again, I would like to promote better communication and cooperation with Czech companies. We could also offer a very competitive production costs. For example, if we look at global production costs, we can compare, for example, for nickel, we can produce in 3.6 to 3.8 US dollar per pound, as compared to $5 per pound in the global cost. So the cost is very competitive in Indonesia. Other than that, we also could guarantee the high standard in environmental protection compliance, as I mentioned earlier, high mining safety standards, as well as readily available engineers to work in the mining companies. There are more than 23,000 readily available mining engineers in Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to appreciate the support from the Indonesian Embassy in Czech, colleagues from MKU, and a very supportive cooperation by the Czech government through Mr. Pavel and his colleague. So again, let me pass my highest appreciation to those who have contributed to this event. I really would like to continue the cooperation, to continue the communication through any meetings. Would like to also get some support from other Indonesian entities, BKPM in principle, and would also support Indonesian mining industries to work more closely with Czech mining entities. Terima kasih Ibu Duta Besar. Thank you very much, colleagues and friends who are lucky enough to be in Prague today, and really would like to see you in physics in the next time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ridwan Jamaluddin. This is very good news on the reformation of the policy from Indonesian in the mining law. And also, as we can see in here, that all the spectrum has been established to bring the investor and partnership to come to our country. It is highlighted that the operational costs in our country is one of the lowest, and we know why in that one. First is we've been having a historical experience in the mining since 30, 40 years ago. And then we have all the educated person that has been sent abroad and then educated back all the trainee or internship to our country. Not to mention also we are complied with the ESG through our ICIM, which is Community of the Mining Council. So basically, we prepare for all the important thing that European Union company would like to establish their footprint in our country. The next one, I would give it time to Mr. Alma Karma, the Director Manufacturing Planning from Ministry of Investment Office. So the Ministry of Investment Office is the gate where you need to understand about how to comply with the investment tax incentive and all the research and development that they can provide after that. Pak Alma, please.
Thank you, Pak. Her Excellency Mrs. Kensi Dwi Ekaningsi, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia in Prague, Czech Republic. This is Mr. Pavel Kavina, Director of Raw Materials Policy Department, the Minister of Industry and Trade, Czech Republic. Bapak Ridwan Jamaluddin, Director General for Mineral and Coal, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources of Indonesia, speakers in this meeting, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to all of you, and good evening from Jakarta. It's an honor for us to be invited among these excellent speakers in this global market sounding forum, which is expected to widen the way for Czech Republic investors to invest in the mineral sectors in Indonesia. May also extend a very warm regards on behalf of the Minister of Investment, Mr. Bahlil Hadia, and I wish what I'm going to share here today will like become insightful information and benefit all of us in any way. Distinguished guests and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to highlight that investments in Indonesia's mine explorations and downstream industry is still a very attractive, yeah. And demand for mineral for domestic industry has grown significantly due to our national mineral and coal downstream policy. And despite our geological potential, yeah, Indonesia has yet to capture fair proportions of the global exploration spending. Yeah. Indeed, Indonesia has constantly received less than 2.5% of the global exploration budget during a period from 2006 to 2014, and less than 2% during period time from 2015 to 2021, which is extraordinary low when compared to its mineral potential. When commodity price fell in 2012, yeah, Indonesia mining companies shifted their attention from increasing production and development to cutting operational expenditure and focusing on easier to mine mineral deposit while shortening capital expenditure. Yeah. All these factors have led to low-level exploration, despite the increase in the commodity price and profitable in recent years. Another challenge is the global market have become more and more aware of the sustainability aspect of the mining business. Market demands, yeah, the mining, yeah, companies and the metal industry is to encourage the use of raw material that have low emission, yeah, which is indirectly required the mining industry as a provider of raw materials to carry out sustainability mining practice. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Lastly, I would like to promote our incentive both in the financial and non-financial aspect. The Indonesian government keeps improving with a policy, regarding physical incentive to investors, in order to encourage more investment to enter Indonesia, both in terms of quantity and quality aspect. One of the most recent incentives is the super tax deductions, which applies to human development and around the activities. And the government also regularly updates the tax holiday and tax allowance regulations in ease to depletion process and expand the business sectors eligible for the incentive. This includes a tax incentive for new investment or expansions on certain business that are considered labor incentive industries. For tax holiday facility, we offer 50% up to 100% corporate income tax reduction for 5 to 20 years from the beginning of the commercial production. It depends on the value of the plan of investment. The tax holiday is on the focus on the target strategic industries with high levels and supporting national goals. One of which is the integrated metal industry, with or without derivative products. The next one is tax allowance. Tax allowance. This incentive might be granted to Indonesian legal entities, this including foreign investments that makes new investment that fall within certain lines of its business, and in some case there are certain location with incentive in the form of a reduction in the net income of 30% of the investment in tangible fixed assets and land, and prorated over 6 years of commercial production. It's about 5% per year. We also provide the import duty exemption facility for up to 4 years for imported machinery and equipments, goods, minerals, and raw material to be used in the productions, and production of goods of the provisions of service exemption. To convince the global to convince our global investors to our determination in improving the investment climate in Indonesia. Indonesia has formed an investment acceleration task force based on the presidential decrees number 11/2021. This task force is led by Minister of Investment himself, with the support of the Attorney General of and the Indonesian Police. And the task force is tasked with identifying then and recommending potential investment project and accelerating the direct investment for realization of the said sector. In addition, the task force is also tasked with providing assistance is solving a constraint faced by investors such as issue its land acquisition, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready and more than happy to continue working together with all the relevant stakeholders, especially from Czech Republic, yeah, to further promote and strengthen our partnership for project development and improving the investment climate in Indonesia. Last but not least, I hope this event will give you all a broader view of understanding the investment opportunity, especially in the mining and the metal industry in Indonesia. For investors who are interested in to know more some investment project in detail, yeah, please do not hesitate to contact us, or we have IIPC, Indonesian Investment Promotion, the office location in the London, England, and the officer joined with us today in this room. Yeah, and you can also uh, visit our website at www.bkpm.go.id. Thank you very much for your kind attention, Pak. Back to Pak.
Thank you so much, Pak Alma Karma, the Director Manufacturing Planning for the Investment Office of Indonesia, for sharing the broader knowledge of how to invest in Indonesia itself. For any detailed question related to this, we can of course rely on the representation of the investment office in London, and luckily they are here. We can do that after this. But one thing that I would like to highlight is, first question is, why should you invest in Indonesia rather than other country in Asian, which is basically, is, as mentioned previously, we have all the tax benefit that's already listed, but also the starting business in Indonesia is much easier in comparison to 4 or 5 years ago. The electricity capacity, the infrastructure has been pretty established at this stage. So regardless you build the manufacturer in Jakarta or in East Java or even probably in Papua, the electricity is already there. They also encourage all the taxpayer goes into the online paying system, which is, the process system. It's going to be more effective, and there's nothing redundant on that one. So those basically is what we are trying to attract for the investor to come to Indonesia. Before we continue in the exciting of the real presentation of what we're offering, both from Ms. Barbara and the delegation in here, I would like to take a small pause for the Q&A. And please, since it is very rare that two regulators in here, you may ask if there is any policy related question on the mining or in the investment that they can answer, or the delegation can answer. Please, maybe we can take a few questions before we move on into the project presentation.
If there are any questions.
Good morning. My name is Jaroslav Rajf. I am head of State Mineral Policy of Ministry of Industry and Trade. First of all, thank you very much for excellent presentation, and thank you very much for explanation some local legal framework for making business in Indonesia. Maybe you told it during your presentation, but maybe I didn't catch it. So please, can you summarize for all of us if any investor company will come for mining any minerals? For example, now I have in my mind heavy mineral sands. It means to obtain concentrate, for example, of zircon. and other minerals like ilmenite, probably some phosphate. So the question is, can we export this minerals concentrate without any other treatment, or we must to continue in downstream to produce some final product? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Zbajnek. Yeah. Pak Andri, maybe this is related to you regarding the added value, how we need to produce the raw material into the form of a downstream. If I may, to ask you to answer the question, Pak Andri.
Thank you very much, Pak Dudi. Thank you very much, Mr. Spenek. I hope I'm not wrong spelling your name, Mr. Spenek. But I'm happy that I'm very happy that you are coming from the director of mineral policy. Similar with me, that I'm working also in the directorate of mineral enterprises, and my scope of work is in terms of explorations and operations productions in mineral. So regarding your questions about is there any obligations is it is it okay, or is it possible to export the mineral in terms of concentrate? So according to our mining law, Mr. Spinach, that it states that the mining permit holders has an obligation to refine metal minerals domestically. So these obligations is only applied or implemented for the metal mineral. So um, based on your question, I would like to say that um, and mining until June of 2023, is it still possible to sell or to export the copper concentrate or and other minerals in terms of the concentrate until June of 2023. After that, we are fully have an obligations to fully refine domestically until fulfill the certain quality of metal minerals. So, for example, for nickels, we have an obligation to produce until the ferronickel or nickel pig iron or nickel mixed hydroxide precipitate. And in terms of the copper commodities, we oblige the mineral refined domestically until copper cathode commodities or copper cathode product. So I hope that able to answer your questions, Mr. Spinach.
Thank you, Pak Andri. Apologize, Mr. Jaroslav. I probably mentioned your name wrong at the beginning, so now I'm trying to focus on this one. So the
a lack of understanding. So if you can
Sure.
Only repeat.
Yep.
So in case if it is like we can call classical metal or like nickel ore, you must go for nickel or nickel iron pig. If it is copper, you must go to cathodic plate, yeah. And you can export cathodic plate, but if it is, for example, mineral as a zirconium, or there are other minerals like badellate, yeah, from mineral sand, which are used for manufacturing for refractories bricks. So this we can export without problem, yeah?
That is correct. So
Perfect.
the policy that we had 3 years ago was established by the president of Indonesia is not to send the raw material directly into the company. They need to be like putting in the downstream into the form of, just you mentioned, like zircon or something. That's correct.
If may I ask you, please, could it be possible to send us a list of the condition to our ministry, because we have such a different question from our companies. How can I do some specific business in Indonesia? What is permitted, what is not permitted?
Sure.
So we will be very happy for such a this document.
Absolutely. Yeah? So this material will be shareable to the audiences.
We will share it not only on the base of ministry, but also Chamber of Commerce and other, we can say, I mean, business forums.
Yeah, business forum. Will do. Thank you. Any other question for the mining policy and the investment office regarding the taxation, benefit, incentive, and other to be part of the investment opportunity in Indonesia? Or is there anything else that you want to share with us? Open for Q&A and comment. I guess not. So shall we continue with the real presentation from the panelists? We have here 4 panelists. And of course, it's very exciting for me to hear, starting with Ms. Barbara Felickova, who is the Executive Director, Czech Extraction and Mining Technology, which is CDT. And I've been looking forward to see your presentation. Let's go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Your Excellency, dear representatives of Indonesian ministries and companies, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and privilege for me to be here with you and address you on behalf of the Czech Extraction and Mining Technology Association. 4 months ago, the Indonesia and Czech Business Forum took place in Jakarta, where Indonesian and Czech companies discussed opportunities of cooperation in mining and energy industry. We very appreciate that the fact that these days we can welcome representatives of Indonesia here in Prague. Can we continue, please? Allow me to introduce you very briefly the association that was held in 2003. Currently, the association has got 14 members, Czech companies that provide technologies and manufacture machines and equipment for use in mining, energy, and heavy industry. Altogether, we have customers in more than 30 countries. Next. What does it mean, Czech Extraction and Mining Technology Association? What is our mission? Thanks to our know-how and our close synergy, we bring our customers the most modern and complete solutions in their operations in underground mines, in open pit mines, bulk material handling and transportation, raw material processing in power and heating plants, as well as in waste treatment technologies. Next. On this slide, we can see names of companies of our association. We do not have enough time to present each member company more detailed. I would rather show you how we work, how we can solve projects and provide complete solutions to our customers. In the beginning, there are discussions with customers and we prepare feasibility studies, design works, engineering and proposals for suitable technology that should be used in customers' projects. If we speak about mining, we provide our customers with extraction technology, machines and equipment such as excavators, mining extraction complexes, roof supports and other types of equipment for underground mines as well as open pits. With regards to transport in underground mines, there are companies that design transport systems to ensure handling of and transportation of the extracted rock and coal that must be transported to the surface. For transport of people and material, we manufacture various kinds of mining locomotives and vehicles. In the category of bulk material handling and transport, we design and manufacture complete systems. The conveyor belt systems, feeders, crushers, sorting stations, etc. We have a lot of experience in Czech Republic in designing and of processing plants, coal washing plants, and production lines of energy coal. To increase efficiency and safety in all operations, we manufacture electrical systems and equipment that can be used in coal mines. All equipment is flame-proofed and certified for use in the environment with the risk of methane explosion. Among these products belong control and monitoring systems, coal quality management systems, gas detection systems, and much more products. This was really a very brief overview of the Association of Czech Companies. And we believe that together with Indonesian partners, we can develop further cooperation and business partnership in the wide field of mining, energy, and also processing industry. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Barbara. And I believe that the technology and engineering that you just mentioned in here, it's applied to our process and mining in Indonesia. Pak Alwin is from the Antam, which is more into focusing on the three material, which is gold, nickel, and Ibu Ria will be focusing on the tin. We can discuss this, elaborate one-on-one probably after this session in more detail. The next one, time and place, Ibu Ria Pawan, the President Director of Tin Industrial Indonesia. Without further ado.
Thank you. Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Mrs. Kensi Ekaningsi, Mr. Pavel Gavina, Dr. Ridwan Jamaluddin, Bapak Alma Karma, dear panelists and ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present a general overview of PT Timah Tbk, tin producers from Indonesia, and the tin downstream business that we have done for years. Okay, we have two agenda about PT Timah Tbk at a glance, and then the tin metal and its downstream business. It's a long story for PT Timah Tbk. We are established in 1976, but actually is coming from three companies from Dutch in colonial era, 100 years ago, and become nationalized in 1976. And then we go to the next slide. To long story short, now we are belong to the government of Indonesia, represented by Mine ID is the mining industry Indonesia by 65%, and listed in Indonesia Stock Exchange by 35% belong to the public. PT Timah Tbk is a state-owned enterprise which consists of 8 subsidiaries. With the tin business, with the business is quite vary between tin business, and then also we have real estate, mining also, coal, nickel, but not as big as the other sister company in Mine ID. Next, this is, you can see the tin mining in Indonesia has been done since 17th era, before the Dutch coming to Indonesia. It is start in the Sriwijaya Empire, if you already heard the name of the empire. It's very long time ago, and now it's 2022. It's been more than 300 years. We do the tin mining in Indonesia, so, but hopefully we still have the resources and production, still the second largest tin producers in the world. The next slide. This is the activities of PT Timah TBK. We are doing the exploration, and then we do the exploration inland and also in offshore mining. We do the offshore mining with some dredges and also cutter suction dredge. And the next slide, there is we do the processing, smelting and refining of the tin metal. Our premium product of tin metal is 99.99 tin. And after that, we sell the product through, next slide, yeah. After do the refining, we sell the tin metal to Indonesia tin tin future exchange, derivative exchange. We have 2 exchanges, ICDX, Indonesia Commodity Derivative Exchange, and Jakarta Future Exchange, where you can also become the buyer member of this exchange and buy the tin product from these 2 exchanges. Some of our brands is registered in London Metal Exchange as the Bangka Tin, Kundur Tin, and Mentok Tin. And we also producing soldering tin and tin chemicals. It's been operated by our subsidiaries PT Timah Industry that I will explain later. And we also have non-tin products such as nickel and coal. Okay, now we are going to the second agenda about the tin downstream business. But first of all, let me explain about the global use of the tin metal. This is done by International Tin Association on 2021. Most of the tin use is for solder, about 48%, and then followed by chemicals industry, about 17%, tin plate, 12%, lead acid batteries, about 7%, tin copper, this is for brass and bronze, about 9%, and others for flat glass, something like that. And for the use of solders, the top producers are China, about 53,000 tons a year, and the rest of the world about 24,900 tons a year. Most of the solder are produced in form of bars, wire, and then wire. And then there is a niche market for powder and paste solder. The end-use sectors for electronic solders, this is based on survey on 2020. Most of the use of solder are for consumer goods, and then followed by computers, telecommunications, and automotive, and etc. Now we continue with the supply and demand of tin metal in the global market on 2021. So the global consumption in the world is about 390,000 tons, while the global production is about 368,000 tons. So the market is on deficit condition. Indonesia currently become the second largest tin producers in the world. The first one is China. And in Europe, there is also one company who produced the tin, but the resources is coming from the recycling material in Belgium. And also in Latin America, there are some tin producers there. The biggest one is Minsur in Peru, who also has tin mining in Brazil, Taboca. Okay, next. This is the Indonesia tin consumption. So we are exporting roughly around 75,000 tons of tin metal. The standard tin metal is 9.9% SN. And the consumption of tin in Indonesia currently about 3,000 tons. Most of it for the chemicals industry, about 42%, and then tin plate for 27%, solders 19%, and the rest is for batteries and glass. Next slide, please. And this is the industrial tree of tin metal. So you can see the downstream of tin metal is quite varied. Currently, we have bar, tin solder, and then tin chemical. The tin solder, we already produced bar and wire, but for tin chemical, we already produce stannic chloride, SnCl4, and then methyl tin mercaptide and melted tin chloride. Next, this is the structure of the PT Timah group. The subsidiary is PT Timah Industry, who's producing tin solder and tin chemical. We are actually established in 1998 as the spin-off of engineering division, but on 2010 we focusing on downstream tin business and built a factory in Cilegon in West Java by 2010. Currently we have 4 plants, 3 plants about chemicals and 1 plant for tin solder. The 3 plants for chemicals is stannic chloride with the capacity about 3,000 tons per year. The methyl tin dichloride for capacity about 8,000 tons per year, and methyl tin stabilizer for capacity about 10,000 tons per year. For tin solder, currently 2,000 tons per year. And most of our products, both solder and chemical, export to about 95 to 96% and 4 to 5% for domestic market. And for supporting the market, we already certified by ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, already got the RoHS and FDA for American market, also for REACH for European market. And this is the products of PT Timah Industry. The tin chemical, we have 2 brands, Bangkas Stannic and Bangkas Step. Bangkas Stannic for the stannic chloride and the dimethyl tin dichloride, and Bangkas Step for the methyl tin stabilizer and tin 1-pack. Tin 1-pack is a different form of methyl tin stabilizer because it's powder-like. And this is the packaging. We are using HDPE cage IBC tote and HDPE drum. And for the tin 1-pack, we are using HDPE sack. The application for the Bangkas Step is for general purposes with the tin content around 19%, and also for film and sheet. And for Bangkas Step TOP, tin 1-pack is for extrusion pipe, for water pipe. For the tin solder, some of the form are in bar casting or bar extrude, ball and half ball, also for solid wire. The use of the composition is vary, depend on the customer order. We also already produce SN 96.5% with silver and copper. Also, we produce SN with copper as the alloy, also SN and lead. And last but not least, this is the our company main focus is to expand the market network and maintaining customer loyalty and satisfaction around the world, optimizing and increasing our production, increasing sales volume of tin chemical and tin solder products. And we are expecting to cooperate with Czech Republic, of course, and to cooperation in the development of the tin stabilizer market, especially tin stabilizer, both based on 2-ESTG and reverse ester. This is two elements that we are using for the raw material to producing tin stabilizer. And also through sales cooperation schemes, if it is possible, buy and sell, and also OEM. And the second, cooperation and transfer of other tin chemical technologies such as stannous sulfate and stannous octoate to increase the demand of tin stabilizer in Indonesia and also around the world. That's all for me. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Ria Pawan, the President Director of Tin Industrial Indonesia. It is also my understanding, Ibu Ria, that we are also looking a partnership for the product penetration in Europe in relation into the tin soldier and then tin chemical and then the manufacturing. As you can see, the tin metal gap between supply and demand is quite high in Europe itself. That's probably the opportunity that we can use in collaboration of the business opportunity between two countries. Again, thank you so much. So before we move on, I would like to take a small pause again for a question and answer for Mrs. Barbara and Mrs. Ria. If there is a Q&A related into the product, which I believe is quite exciting to understand in more detail.
Before anyone asks a question, I just wanted to say that we invited the Electrotechnic Association and the Chemical Association to this venue, but their representatives were tied in some other venues, but they are excited, and we will share the presentation with them as well as with everybody here. So we will send the presentation of your tin products to the Electrochemical and Electrotechnic Association and Chemical Industry Association to share it with their members. So I hope there will be some demand of your products. So, and Mr. Raif again.
So thank you very much for a very interesting presentation for us. Just during my visit of Senegal, I have also chance to not to be in dredge, but I'm sure that you know that as you show us that you are operating dredges for heavy mineral concentration in Senegal is one of the biggest dredge which is operated by French company for extraction also heavy minerals with very important we can say concentrate. So my question is, and if it is not possible to answer now, I will be happy to send us this information later on. My question is, which kind of concentrate, which we can say industrial minerals are produced on your dredges? If you can give us some brief info. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Ria.
Thank you, sir. Yes, we are producing tin concentrate and do the refining for the tin extraction and the refining for the tin concentrate. But also we have mineral byproducts such as zircon, ilmenite, and then xenotime and also monazite. The last one is the source of rare earth elements, but actually the resources is only roughly about 1,000 tons a year. So not many, But we have ilmenite and zircon, as you said earlier that you need zircon and ilmenite. For the nodes, the zircon that we have is current content of radioactive. So we need to separate the radioactive first from the zircon to be before exported. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other question? So another thing to highlight in here on the product of the Solder, this application in relation to the EV battery and e-mobility, it's probably something that we can improve in the future. Maybe Pak Dudi, if you can elaborate a little bit how this might be in the future can be developed. Please, you can come here and explain a little bit.
Thank you. I just want to, Ms. Buria, if I may explain a little bit. So I think they have different kinds of the solder types, especially for the EV industries, which require a high temperature solders for under the hood applications. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So especially if you're, I think as far as I know, Czech Republic is strong in the automotive industries, right? So the ROHS solders and the types of solders that are required for the electronics within the EVs are something that's specific, right? So I think those are areas that I think Ibu Ria can probably elaborate more as well. Yeah. And maybe we can have another session if you're interested after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dudi, Ibu Ria. Of course, at this stage, it's still in the development. It's not yet established yet, but I can see there is this penetration of business opportunity over there to establish more into like the new era. If there is no other question, we can probably move forward on the presentation to Mr. Alwin Albur, the project exploration manager from PT Antam. Again, similar to PT Timah Industrial Indonesia, PT Antam also state-owned enterprise by the government of Indonesia. So it's listed in Australian Stock Exchange, ASX, and also in Indonesia. So if the compliance is very sure, it's followed by all the mining regulation, not only Indonesia, but across the business. Pak Elwin, place and time is for you.
Thank you, Pak Uli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Bu Kensi, Pak Pavel Kapina, Pak Ridwan Jamaluddin, Pak Amal Karma. Selamat siang, Bapak di Indonesia. I will present about the opportunity for in Antam. So, as we know that Antam, together with PT Timah, PT Bukit Asam, has been merged in 2017, and now we are holded by mining industry. It's the mining Indonesian state-owned mining company. 100% belongs to government of Indonesia, and each of the member of the holding has a specialties. In Antam, we have the specialties in nickel industries, gold industries, and bauxite industries for aluminum. Next, please. Next. Okay, next. So this is what I explained before, and then next. So our product right now for nickel is from the ore nickel for domestic trading, and then we produce the ferronickel, and now we are entering for EV battery industries together with the other state-owned companies in Indonesia. And then for gold, we produce, okay, for gold, we are produced until the gold bar with purity for 4.9, yeah, 4.9, and we are the one and only LBMA certified refiner in Indonesia. And for bauxite, we produce for the bauxite ore for domestic trading and export until next July 2023. And in the middle product, we produce for chemical grade alumina. And next time we're expecting for smelter grade alumina, working together with Inalum, one of the member of Mine ID. But in my presentation, we will focus for nickel and gold opportunity with Antam. Next. So this is the map for the location of Antam Indonesia, and all of these areas has been and still explored by unit geomin. We can see in the left, number 2 of left. We explore all this area and found it and continue to explore for nickel, bauxite, and gold. One of a little bit iron ore and the coal. And then next. So this is our resources. So we can see that the gap for our resources and reserve for nickel very high. Why? Because we are before we are only sell the ore, but now because of the ore export ban from government of Indonesia, of course our reserve will be reduced to resource, and then this is the opportunity. So we can see that only less than 1/3, yeah, 1/3 of our reserve for nickel has been used for the our industry for ferronickel and domestic trade. So the other 2/3 of the resource we expecting for entering the future industries, yeah, EV battery. That's the opportunity. And then for the gold, as we can see that our site is only in Pongkor and only has the 6 ton of reserves right now. So we want to focusing for finding new area. Actually, we have huge area in Papua named Oksibil. I will present in this presentation. So these two areas will be presented by me in next slides. Next. Okay, for the Antam, we are concerned in safety. So up to 8 months to 22, we have 2.85 million zero vulnerability rate in our company for more than 14,000 of employees. And we hope and working hard for this achievement for continuing. And then we implement so many standard, yeah, for occupational health and safety like OHSAS, ISO 45 and 1, and then for in Indonesia for SMKP, and then another standard of OHS. Next. And then for the our ESG for environment and social, more than 10% of our net profit in 2021 has been sent, yeah, to make the program for CSR for environment, and then we expecting for build the community to build together with us. Next. So this is the achievement of Antam for ESG, that we are now the leader, one of the leader in the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the ESG sector, and ESG Quality 45 in Indonesia Stock Exchange. For KHATI, it means the 45 best ESG program and sustainability in Indonesia. And then we have a program for the reducing the greenhouse gas, and then for next program of Indonesian government program for the carbon trade or carbon swap like that. We expecting at the 2045, we have fully intensive electrification in mining equipment. And in our target for 2022 will be reduced 1% of our greenhouse gas in this end of 2022. Next. So we're entering the focus for nickel. Next. So these the areas for our nickel site. So 2 areas in Southeast Sulawesi, 1 areas at North Molucca, and then 1 areas at West Papua. And next. Okay, so now we are only producing for ferronickel, but actually what the results is still in not utilized is like a limonite is for suitable for our target for EV battery industries. Next, maybe. So these are the 3 downstream project we want to build in North Molucca, nickel class 1 and class 2. We expecting for build the ferronickel. For the ferronickel, I think will be commissioned at next year, at the beginning of next year. But for the EV battery industry will be starting at next year. So we still preparing until the end of this year. So for the nickel class 1, another ferronickel or what is? Another produce nickel mate new project at Southeast Asia. We want to produce the nickel mate for our mining over there. Next. So this is the diagram for the Antam and the partner we introduce to you that we are very experienced in upstream until to middle stream, but we need the help and we need the strong partnership at the downstream. So the dot line like that over there, we can do by ourselves. But if any suggestion for you, for us from you, we can be joined together. But at the downstream on the right side, we are blind at all. So these are your best opportunities for the right side. So we are expecting for strategic partnership or project delivery through joint venture development or mutual commitment in CapEx and transfer technology. That's for nickel. Okay, next. So for gold business project, next. So these are the areas for the best belt of gold in Indonesia. It generated by Pak Bronto Sutopo, one of our principal geologists, which is founder of Martabe at Sumatra, or at Turkey, some of porphyry copper gold. And then we expecting at tier 1A at Papua, the green belt and the right side. And next. Okay, this is the history of the exploration at the Papua, especially at Oxybil areas. Next. So the Oxybil area, the red dot, is very close to proven mine site at PNG. So actually, our concession is the border of the country between PNG and Indonesia. So from our side to Oktedi at PNG, only 45 kilometers, maybe around 1 day, yeah? 1 day walking by walk. So we can walk to Oktedi. And for near to Porgera, Porgera around 200 to 300 kilometers like that. And to the Grasberg to the west side around 400 kilometers like that. So we are in the middle of the highland, extremely highland, from 2,000 to 4,000 meters up in the sea level, yeah, upper sea level. Next. So we're expecting find the around 300 tons of gold. We usually not calculating the copper, yeah, over there, because we are conservative. We use conservative method for the calculation of estimation of resources. So we're expecting for 10 million of gold or 300 ton of gold. Actually, that in Papua, in Papua, different with the other area in Indonesia, the economic scale for gold in Papua actually a little bit higher because of the challenge in Papua. So if in the other island we can produce for gold, let's say 1 million ounce, but in Papua, minimum we should find around 3 or 4 million ounce for initial reserve to starting the mining like that. That's the challenge of Papua. But over here, we expecting more than 10 million actually. Why? Because of the geology area, and we are around 5 years, yeah, entering that area. We found so many good geological signs for gold, especially for porphyry copper over there. Next. This is the area. So maybe you ask why so many samples only in one area, then the other 3 areas. Actually, this because of the permitting, yeah, license permitting, because land permitting, I mean, because the areas surrounded by huge and dense forest. That's why we divided for the permitting. The first permit we apply at the right side of the concession, like that. Next. And then from the right side of the concession, we found 3 prospects. But from the 3 prospects, only 1 prospect has been drilled by us. And then we found next, porphyry copper system with this condition. So not so big for this area, and we did not expect big porphyry in this area. Why? Because the area around this prospect surrounded by volcanic rock. As you know, in Papua, the best rocks for the gold and copper system, which be rock, what do you say, calcareous, yeah, calcareous rock has been intruded by the plutonic rock like that. In this area, we only want to know, is it the intrusion fertile or no? And we proved that the intrusion fertile and contain a good, yeah, a fair good of the copper and gold grade, yeah, per day. Next. So from that area, you know, the Secnam prospect, we are continuing the exploration into the southeast part. Maybe we can back to 2 slides before. This is actually the next, we go to southeast areas, and we found the global emphatic transit, which is the area surrounded by intrusion and calcareous rock. And from the surface samples, better than Dunam, like that. But why we cannot continue right now? Because of the pandemic at 2020. And until 2021, we cannot continue, but in 2022, we are preparing to enter that area. And this area, because so huge area, around 200,000 hectares, 200,000 hectares of concession. Of course, we cannot explore by ourselves. That's why we proposing for you to enter together with us to explore the other areas in the Oxybil, like that. So that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin. Very excited. And to be honest with you, the first presentation about the nickel, he kept it hidden until this morning. So I haven't seen that presentation yet. By all means, that's, if I may say it loud in here, but with the nickel grade 1 and grade 2, there's a lot of opportunity in the e-mobility and EV battery to get involved. And of course, as you mentioned, you need a partnership that able to follow the process through. You have the upstream skill, you have the midstream, but the downstream partnership is what they're looking for at this moment in terms of the processing plants, smelting, and etc. That's correct, right? Yeah. So that's another opportunity. The other thing that I would like to highlight is about the gold. As you might already know, the mapping that Mr. Alvin showed was basically the Oak Teddy, which is one of the biggest single mine in Papua, but also closer to our Freeport gold, copper, and mine, which is the biggest mining Grasberg in Indonesia. So the similarity probably there, right? Of course, Pa Alvin explained about the challenge, which is quite remote, and you know what they call it is no pain, no gain. So that's where we start trying to introduce to the smaller audience in here that this is another opportunity to come and join our journey to be part of the exploration. Who knows, it's probably the next Freeport when you go into deeper. But again, at this stage, Pak Alwin, PT Antam has done 4 drill holes with a 2 intercept. So it's something good to start in exploration process. The other thing that I highlight in here, you mentioned about to be economically proven because of the geographically situation. This need to be around 300 or 400 millions ounce. That's correct, right? And that's what we are aiming. It's beyond that. So the calculation of the rate of return, it's probably is not yet established in the mature, but it's available if you need it. Is there any question on the nickel or in the gold or even in the processing factory or plant? This is probably something that I can relate later on, Ms. Barbara, about the discussion about the technology and everything else in the downstream area. Yeah.
I have a question. My name is Pavel Snašel and I am from the Noen company. We are producer of the mining technology. And my question is for the mining processes about tin and nickel and other materials. How type of the technology are you using now and how is the orders of the technology? It means if it is possible for the future to change or modernize this technology. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So this is related to the tin. So I would relate this to Ms. Ria Pawan to answer as the President Director of Indonesian Tin Industry.
Okay, thank you for the question. I will explain about the tin mining technology that we have currently. It's we have 3 dredges. Actually, the youngest was made on 1969, so it's quite old, as old as I think. So, but we just rejuvenate these dredges and become a bucket wheel dredge. It can dig until 75 meters under the sea level, but the challenge is because of the overburden of the overburden content clay about 30 meters. So we need another cutter suction dredge to open the overburden before we get the tin layer. So it's most of the dredges we have currently operating in Bangka Island due to the overburden is not as big as in our site in Riau Island. So we have 2 separate sites. It's in Bangka Belitung, and the other one is in Riau Island, close to Singapore. But the overburden in this seabed is a bit too high for us. So we need to open the overburden first, and then the dredge can come and dig the tin ore from that. And for the other technology we are using cutter suction dredge. It's also famous from Thailand. Most of the Thailand miners are using cutter suction dredge before, and now they are moved to Indonesia and help become our partner to do the tin mining in offshore. But the capability is only until 25 meters below the sea level. So we combine this technology for offshore mining operation. For the inland mining is pretty much not that difficult. We are just using the It's not an open pit because the tin reserve in Indonesia is alluvial. So it's very easy to get the tin ore from the surface of the inland mining by using high pressure water. After we open the land, open the surface about 6 meters to 10 meters, and then we are using high pressure water to get the tin. And flowing the tin ore, the tin sand to the jig. It's a shaking table, like shaking table, to separate the tin with the other sand. And then went to the washing plant, and then we are not using chemical, we are just using a physical treatment to separate the tin with other minerals. And then the tin enter the smelter. We just built the Osmelt furnace. Will be commencing probably this December. That's the technology we are using for tin ore. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Ria. If I hear it correctly in here, the technology that currently exists, it's quite aging, less updated. And then there is an opportunity to go into more deeper into the capability of the to reach the surface or overburden. And that's probably something that we need to explore more. What type of the technology that we can implement it with PT Timah? Is that something that probably answer question, or yeah, go ahead with.
I have the same question to Mr. Elbu.
Okay, thank you, Pak, for our smelter, yeah, for nickel smelter at Kolaka mine site at Southeast Sulawesi. Actually, we use technology from 1975, Pak. So it's very old right now, and I just informed that now we are in what you call in change the technology like right now, yeah. So we are still research, make a research for that, and then for our smelter at not Molucca. So we are using the technology from 2010 or 2011 like that, but still not the comments. Maybe at next year at January, I think we commence. So I don't know detailing about the technology, what kind of detail, because I'm geologist, not the metallurgist like that. But for the and then for the bauxite, we use they said Bayer technology like that for chemical grade alumina. Yeah, Bayer technology like that. And for the other project, we will use for smelter grade alumina, but before we entering the ore to the smelter, we using some of the treatment like that, but I don't know sure, yeah, what I don't know sure for what technology we will use for the smelter grade alumina at the western part of our concession of bauxite right now. That's all I think I can explain right now. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Mr. Elwin. Just to add a little bit on the downstream smelter, specifically nickel in Indonesia, need to be open that currently the smelter that we adopt will still lean into the Chinese technology, and therefore we would like to turn this perception to invite other technology proven to come and implement their technology to our country, which is of course the expectation is more environmentally friendly and meeting with the requirement of the high mining standard now. Um, as you know, it's Antam. It's already part of the ASX Australian stock security, which is by all means it will cover all the ISO and environmental regulation that they have. Is there any other related question to Mr. Alwin Albur for PT Antam that we may address?
If we have no questions, I would just like to say some remarks. I wanted to thank that you added the environmental impacts into your presentation, because that's one of the crucial things, and reducing the carbon emissions and other impacts on environment is crucial for the future. And I believe it can be done without new technologies, and CDT companies and Noen and Draslovka on the refining can help with that, and I hope we have a lot to offer to your company.
Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, we just had a discussion recently about this incentive of the carbon tax, not yet implemented, but in the near future, it will be seeing on that. How we're going to, or next year even. Yeah, next year will be implemented by, for example, swapping, with the current mining, with the new mining development, they can swap the tax crossly. So that's the information that recently that we have. So again, hot off the press. Last but not least, Mr. Dudi Rendusara, the MKU Services Director, he will present. So you saw that what the Mr. Alwin and Iburia has already presented, which is more into state-owned company projects. At this stage is Mr. Dudi will present more into like the private asset owned by the private company in Indonesia, which will be more focusing on the downstream smelting and refinery business. So without further ado, Mr. Dudi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Oli. And I'd like to thank again Honorable Kaningsi. I'd like to thank also Dr. Pavel Kavina and thank Dr. Ridwan Jamaluddin as well as Mr. Alma Karma. And I'd like to say a little bit about MKU Services. So our company is basically the representative of the mineral and coal division of the Ministry of Energy and Resources. And our role is to help promote, dissemination of the right information about what's going on in the mining industry of Indonesia. And Mr. Oli is located here in Belgrade, so he's local here and in the same time zone of Czech Republic. I am physically located in Houston, and we can help you bridge. If you have any technical questions, we can help you channel it to the right people, the right authorities. And today also we have a representative of our Ministry of Investments, so you can have that, direct questions directly. So without further ado, next slide, please. I have two agenda here is about the Indonesia mining law, a little bit of an update, as well as some refining project opportunities. And you may have learned by now that these two companies that are presenting in person right now are state-owned companies. By all means, those are not the only opportunities that you will have. We also have a lot of private, companies that are open for your, investments and opportunities. And So a little bit about the transformation in the Indonesian law. Maybe I touch a little bit just to clarify. One of them is centralized mining authority. I think this is one of the key, we'll say, reformation that has been done prior to the 2020 year. So basically, prior to that, a lot of the companies that want to invest have to deal with local governments, different variations, flavors of the regulations. In 2020, the government of Indonesia has established whereby all of the processes will be uniform. Wherever you are operating in Indonesia, you will only deal with one authority in terms of the mining. You still have to deal in terms of the local licenses and meeting the requirements, but as far as the licenses or permits to operate under this industry, it will be centralized. So that's, I think, a major breakthrough in terms of this simplification. The second, go back, yeah. The second thing that I would like to highlight is the transfer of licenses. This is also key transformation. I think this is something that you need to also, like for example, if you are a junior mining companies, in the past, you have to come in with a full license until fully developments. With this new mining law, you are allowed to come in and explore, right? And then once you find the prospect, you can then transfer that license to a bigger companies that have more resources than can develop. So that is, I think, one of the areas where the government has identified in order to make it easier, even for the junior mining companies to come into the country, right? So, of course, the new obligation now that's related to the environmental requirements. They're strengthening that, the safety and all of that, right? So that's part of the major breakthrough in the reformation. So the last but not least is the continuation of the contract licenses. Basically, the government is kind of giving you a guarantee that the licenses will be extended. There is no interruption for your long-term investments in the country. Next slide. So Indonesia at a glance. Indonesia, if I may say, it's an archipelagic country located in the equatorial line. So the weather is always, we'll say, between 20 degrees to about 30 degrees Celsius. Never go to below zero. It's always nice. It's like a heaven. So if Indonesia is basically, if you measure a stretch from the east to the west, and you overlay the country across the United States, it goes from the east coast all the way to the west coast. So it's a massive country. The only difference is the majority of the territory is water, right? So, and the country is consisted of 17,000 islands, with 5 of the islands, the biggest one, which has been mentioned, Java, Sumatra, Sulawesi, Papua. Papua is in the border with the Papua New Guinea, and also Borneo, which is one of the biggest. Borneo is almost the size of Texas. So it's a big land. And the offshore area actually is an opportunity, because now you can use the islands as your main operating, and you can access the offshore area. So it's a massive opportunities. They have 260 million people, as far as I remember. The last one I remember, maybe even more now. So and the country is young, very young. A lot of educations, a lot of educated engineers. I think like 23,000 alone engineers in the area of mining. It's a very good opportunity. Okay, so next slide. So so we have here, I'm trying to present to you, and I'm pretty sure there are more than this, right? There are more than just 4 companies, and I'm pretty sure our representatives from the Ministry of Investments will have a lot more catalogs. I'm just trying to explain to you some of the examples. So as you know, if you've heard from the presentations, Indonesian government has initiated basically a policy where they don't want the mining companies in Indonesia to export the raw metal ores anymore. They wanted to develop and have a value-added products before they can do that. Now in Indonesia, you cannot come in, operate, and sell the nickel ore. And Indonesia is going to expand that moratorium to other metals, strategic metals. So you can look at it, as maybe a challenge, also an opportunity, right? So basically now, you can have that kind of a strategy where maybe you can also include on the downstream side of the investment on the long term and things like that. So here, I cannot really see my own presentation, sorry. So maybe I can do this. So yes, thank you. So here, so I have these examples by the way, I like to disclaimer, the numbers that I'll be presenting here are not the numbers sworn by the Ministry of Energy and Resources. That these are the numbers from the private companies, and obviously if you are interested, we'll get you in contact directly with them. And so yeah, so these are the opportunities. For example, the one here in the west of Java, it's well established. Java is the most well established island in the whole country. So if you have an operation in Java, you will have access to water, road, electricity, education, everything is very good. And then the PT Smelter Nickel Indonesia, their products input is about 1.2 million tons of nickel ore. And they're expecting to produce 36,000 ton MHP. And then the capex they are looking for is about $19 million. These are projects that are, I will say, at least 75% done. And the reason why, because of the pandemic, they come in, they stop the operations, they ran out of funding, and now they need a strong partner to continue the project. And then the other one is on the West Kalimantan. This is the Borneo Island. It's on the smelter grade alumina. Its output is about 1.5 million ton of smelter grade alumina. And they're looking for investments of around $480 million. And then the other one is PT Sumber Bumi Marau. It's also about 1 million ton of smelter grade alumina. They're looking for an investment of about $550 million US. And then the last but not least is in the Central Sulawesi Island. They're expecting to produce about 130,000 ton nickel pig iron. And then it's capex they're looking for is around $130 million. The last slide. Yeah. So again, this is my last slide. So their net incremental net present value, for example, for PT Smelter Nickel Indonesia, it's about $20 million. It's 33%. Payback period is about 4 years. I think that's one of the, and they have already what do you call it, an off-taker by Sumitomo. So this is one of the most, I think, attractive for me, at least. It's if you want to join. Like I said, they are almost 75% done with their development, and they have an off-taker, and it's for EV batteries. And then the second one is the Angfang brother. This is IRR is about 35%. Incremental NPV is about $68 million US. Its payback period is 4 years. And then the smelter grade alumina projects, NPV is about 15 to 16%, and payback period is about 8 years. And what they're offering is very flexible. So you can do a project financing if you are a bank or investment companies. They are willing to release shares up to 51%. So you can have a control of the companies. And they also, can receive financing from banks or investment through shareholding, joint venture. That's all. That's all. I think my presentation. Thank you very much for your time and kind receptions.
Thank you, Pak Dudi, presenting on the 4 opportunity by the private company in Indonesia. Just one thing to highlight in here, it's not in this presentation. It was last year or 2 years ago. There's this, I believe it's either smelter or bauxite nickel facility that has founded by the banking by the corporation of the syndicate on the from Finland, I believe. And I guess how the financial stream flow is, as you mentioned earlier, it could go directly from the corporation into the gas or through the Exim Bank, like if it's in the US, for example. But I believe there's something similar in the Europe as such. That would be our last presentation. And if there is any question to Mr. Dudi in relation to the private asset that we've been presented so far, this is the opportunity, or we can still do it one-on-one after this session.
Hello, my name is Beňa Gabriel. I'm from the Czech Geological Survey. And I'm sorry, I might have asked this question earlier, but I wonder, is there any state, federal or local royalty that is imposed on the mining operations in Indonesia?
Pak Elvin, please, if you want to answer the question probably on the... I'm sorry. The answer is yes, there is. I will switch to Mr. Andri probably to answer this. Pak Andri, the question will be: is there any local
state or any local royalty that is some kind of extra taxation of mining companies? That is because that is quite widespread in the world, that the mining companies provide extra sort of tax based on the mined or produced material, and this tax is paid to the either some federal or local government.
Okay. Pak Andri, the question, correct me if I'm wrong, the question is more into like, is there any specific taxation related into the material that the mining company produce?
Could be positioned that way, yes.
Okay, thank you, Pauli. I try to answer the questions. So for the mineral, there's only one tariff in terms of royalty. So royalty it given to this to the central government. Yeah. So there's only there's some tariff which is regulated in our government regulations, and it's only once uh, uh, the royalties is only one time during the selling the product was taken by the government. So is there any other tax? No, we just only regulate uh, uh, only for the royalties. Only for
Thank you, Pak Andri. So, go ahead, Pak Andri. Is there anything else?
Other tax may be, yes, in the local, but not in terms of the mineral. For example, for the car taxations and so on, and for the employee taxations, it's probably that, yes, there is some tariff for the tax in the local, but in terms of the mineral, only once, which is so-called as royalties tariff, and this is giving to the central government.
Thank you, Pandri. I just spoke with Ibu Ria Pawan in here, who deal directly with the her product in terms of tin. And yes, there is a special royalty tax for tin, 3%. And according to Pa Andri, it's only one applied. Every mineral has a different taxation, but for tin, for example, is 3% royalty tax. We will get back to you on the nickel and gold and everything else with this. Is there anything else that? Yeah.
So first of all, thank you very much for a complex presentation. And if may I ask you to go back to the presentation? Is it possible? And to show us the picture with, we can say, metallographic map. It is the map where are the productive belt for various metals. I guess later on, yes, this is the one. Yeah. So all that information was for us very interesting, especially about nickel, because as was mentioned here, we are a country focused on automotive industry and battery cycle, and in connection of that, we feeling that Czech Republic and also other member states, countries of European Union will have in future high demand also not only for nickel but also for cobalt, and because both elements are geochemically very near each other, my question is if there is in that belt, if you can show us where you can expect some when you can have some positive expectation also for cobalt occurrences. Thank you.
Please, Pak Elwin.
Yeah, thank you, Pak, for the question. Actually, this is only for precious metal, Pak, yeah. But actually, we have in Antam, we have the other belt of minerals like industrial minerals like bauxite or nickel and cobalt. But in general, I can say that the cobalt belt is related to nickel belt in Southeast Sulawesi, in Middle Sulawesi, in Western Papua, and the another part of southern part, northern part, and southern part of Moluccas, like that. So nickel in Indonesia commonly in laterite deposit. So in the limonite deposit, usually in the upper side of the deposit and the lower side named saprolite, like that. In limonite, we can find, I've ever privately checked the grade, so we can find nickel, cobalt, platinum group, PGM, not so much, yeah, but I think quite economically, if we can find the technology around more than 5 ppm. For cobalt, more than 0.8%, like that. And then for scandium, around 76 to 100 ppm, like that, together with nickel in limonite deposit. But in saprolite, everything will be down, but the nickel grade will be rising until more than 2.5%, like that, Pak. So, but here I cannot show you for the detailed map, but we have the map we built by ourselves in Antam for the all of minerals of the minerals prospecting in Indonesia, not only copper and gold, like that, Pak.
If may I ask you, so there is some limited export also of cobalt in Indonesia, yeah? Not only nickel.
Actually, right now we cannot export for cobalt like that, Pak. But for the future industry, for HPAL technology and like that, we can extract cobalt together with nickel and the other minerals. And that is the what we expected for the help from you, from Czechs like that, for helping us to build and develop this opportunity like that, Pak. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elwin. The question is that map shareable or is that sensitive information for Antam regarding the cobalt?
I think we need the approval for that, right?
Okay, thank you. So we will follow up whether the cobalt mapping fault will be shareable to the audience or publicly. Is there any other question?
Thank you, Zbigniew Gabriel again. I have a question which is not related really to these presentations, but I wonder whether in Indonesia you also have some indications of lithium, which is very modern nowadays due to the EV revolution.
Question is whether Indonesia has a lithium.
Oh, I think maybe. Okay. Yeah.
Do you want me to refer to Pak Andri?
Let me tell.
Okay.
So like this, Pak. Indonesia actually, for the geology, actually Sumatra, Borneo, and Sumatra and Borneo is the oldest part of the land in Indonesia. But for the other land, very young, Pak. Very young, maybe only from Oligocene like that, because of subduction. So if you expect it for lithium in Indonesia, maybe I can say nothing, yeah, Pak. Nothing. For research, okay, but for production, I think so small, Pak. Thank you.
But please do let us know if you know where to find the lithium, and we'll be interested on that one, for sure. Any other question? Probably the last one.
I have a question. I didn't introduce myself, which I'm sorry for. And my name is Michal Horáček. I'm from the Ministry of Industry and Trade. And yes, everybody is looking for lithium and for rare earth elements. So if you find any, please notify us. But I would like to ask Dr. Duri Rendusana about something. Recently there was a company, a Czech company, which was interested in investing in smelteries in your region, in your neighboring countries. But I would like to present your country as an opportunity. But they would like to cast brass and cast iron. So I wanted to ask, aside of bauxite, aside of aluminium and nickel, if there are opportunities in cooperation in smelteries of these two alloys.
Iron ore.
To be honest, actually, I have more information than just one slide. So I have more detailed, what they call it, pitch deck memos from these companies. And I would rather, because this is actually our primary goals, to get them involved directly with our private companies. So if they can actually, talk to us, and we certainly will be able to help them connect to the right challenges. And we have support from the two, strong ministries in Indonesia. I'm pretty sure we can help them as well. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Dudi. And also to highlight in here, our involvement in here is just to make sure that all the investors that coming to Indonesia, they build their confidence entering into the gate that probably they are not familiar with. When they're familiar and when they're comfortable with that situation, we will let them to talk directly with the private. Of course, we're still going to be assisting them, but we are commercial free on that one. We'll just purely would like to bring the investor coming to Indonesia. That's probably the key message in here. I think that was it. Did I miss something else, or is there still any other question that may appear? If it's not, you can always send the follow-up question to management@mkuservices.com, which is we will share that information later, or we can contact directly to Ibu Erna Wati over there, Embassy of Indonesia, and the BKPM, the investment office in London. We can direct all the related technical question, or if you willing to meet one-on-one directly, we can arrange also for that. Thank you so much for your attending today. Appreciate for your time and hope this not the end, but this is a starting point for something bigger than.
For the ministry. For the Ministry of Industry and Trade, I would also like to thank all the presenters here in the building and also in Jakarta. Thank you very much. See you next time, hopefully in person. And we will just cut the conference, and then with everybody who is here, there will be some refreshments prepared and some B2B meetings hopefully are ready to start right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For those who would like to still join us in Jakarta in a one-on-one, please, we'll be more than happy. But I know because of the constraint of timing, we also understand if you're leaving the session earlier, we will have a catch-up session and put together any outstanding question later on and to be delivered to the current audience. Thank you so much again.